So with that, I think we'll get going. Just quick introduction. My name is Manveer, and I'm the founder and chief innovation officer at Zennify. And Sam Kerr, our principal architect and really kind of the AI brain at the company. We'll be your two speakers today. And from a agenda perspective, we're going to be going through some content initially and sharing a demo, and then sharing some additional content, and then getting into some questions. So I think it's a really awesome time to be in this space. Not only is there a ton of innovation that's happening, if you're following what's going on, with different companies that are releasing new technologies, companies like NVIDIA that are making faster and faster chips. From a Salesforce perspective, I've been in this business for 15 years, and I haven't been as excited as I've been just from the follow-up with Dreamforce. If you haven't had the opportunity to listen to Mark Benioff's keynote presentation at Dreamforce, where they showed the demo on Saks Fifth Avenue, it's on YouTube. I recommend you do that. They really kind of show how the technology comes to life there. But most everybody that we're talking to, whether it's our customers or whether it's the Salesforce leadership, will tell you that this is the most instrumental moment for the company, and what they've released just recently with the Agentforce, really is kind of game changing. And this is what AI is meant to be. And we're going to talk you through that. We're going to sort of give you some perspective on Agentic AI. We're going to demo the technology and really then spend a good amount of time talking about what does it take to get started. A lot of the theme of the discussion is how we can help you accelerate your Agentic AI journey. From a Zennify perspective, a little bit about our company. So we've been in business for a little over 10 years, and historically we're a Salesforce Summit partner, heavily focused and concentrated into financial services. As of late, we have invested a lot into our data and AI practice. I actually lead our data and AI practice, and we recently acquired a company by the name of Terrazzo, and they are a dedicated data engineering and AI practice. So we've really kind of doubled down in the space. And one of the things that we bring to the table is more of an agnostic nature to the technology. So we've got different skills in various technologies, be it Databricks, on the Azure front, Snowflake, to complement our Salesforce practice. Today we're going to be talking mostly about Salesforce and Agentforce, but Zennify is a company that has put AI in action. We run our business on AI. Sam Kerr helped develop our AI environment over a year ago, and so we definitely have a lot of depth and expertise in this arena, as well as on the enterprise data front. So jumping in, the theme of this slide is really acceleration, right? 70% of our customers are in some sort of data modernization effort, but 70% of our customers also want to get going with AI this year and next year. So, how do you do both, right? Does that mean that 70% of our customers aren't going to be able to execute on AI because they don't have modern infrastructure? And it's not the case. So, I think that organizations that are investing in infrastructure, especially in their enterprise data, and making those decisions, those are smart decisions. And so those are things that we can help with. We're actually getting major enterprise data, a reference architecture and legacy migrations done inside of a year. And we could talk more about how to accelerate that. But if you think about kind of where you are in the journey, organizations that are investing in data are also doing some early AI exploration. They're doing small pilots and POCs, a lot of internal employee co-pilot types of things, and really testing things out. Then there's organizations that are really trying to experiment and get going faster, but they still have that legacy IT footprint to deal with, and they're in that modernization. And then there's organizations that are really kind of fast adopters, and AI is already a big part of their business. For example, MasterCard just released their agent for their website. And if you go to Salesforce and you're interacting with Salesforce, you're interacting with an agent. So some organizations have definitely taken the leap. The point here is that no matter where you are on this continuum, there is a path to agentic AI and to get immediate value at a rapid pace. And we're going to kind of talk you through that. Another concept here is that, in terms of how you build what is your AI strategy? And so ultimately what you want from your agents is to drive that customer engagement, is to drive success. But trying to do it yourself, has proven to be challenging. There's definitely organizations that have started down this path of sort of building out their own AI models, and really trying to do it on their own. And, I think it's doable. Like, we did it on our own. There's definitely iterations that we've had to get there. And we have experts, right? We have folks that specialize in building these kinds of capabilities. Not every financial institution is going to have, that level of depth of skill or scale or budget, for that matter. And so, what we're concluding is that doing it yourself is quite expensive, and it's not necessarily scalable, right? So today we're going to talk about, how do you deploy agentic AI in a more cost-effective, rapid fashion, and scale up in parallel to other efforts that you might be doing from building your own AI. What is agentic AI? I think this is an important paradigm shift from Salesforce's perspective. So really, it's an agent working autonomously, right, with minimal human intervention, right? I think that's the big shift that Salesforce is driving with Agentforce, but doing that within the context of the user experience and the employee experience. So it's one thing to build this grand AI model, but if that capability is not democratized, if it's not actually manifesting within the flow of work and the customer and employee experience, then the value add, is tougher to realize. So really doing agentic AI within that experience with your proprietary data. Our financial institution customers have troves of data that is trapped and locked away in silos. So being able to do things like semantic capabilities and search, and be able to extract the value from your proprietary data in the context of AI is where the value comes in. And that data can be unstructured, it can be structured. And then last but not least, doing it in a trusted way where you've got Salesforce's Einstein trust layer, enterprise grade, security and protection. So that, again, when you think about hallucinations and the things you don't want your agents doing, being able to do that with guardrails, and again, within the context of your own data, within the context of your own employee and customer experience, is where Salesforce is going with their agentic AI paradigm. So moving to the next slide. So we are working with several customers in early stage innovation and incubation. And here's kind of the way that we're running those discoveries. And we run these workshops and can do this with you, in about a week and a half, we can get this done. But really, we're focused on initially, what are some of the bottlenecks? What are some of the labor-intensive processes in the business, whether it's in the back office, whether it's in the call center, or how can we improve the customer experience? Is there calls coming in that can be avoided? Is there a way to do self assistance on the website? Where is their data trapped, within the enterprise that we need to expose to an AI model or to AI capabilities? And where's there missed opportunities? We should be doing more business with this customer. We should be doing cross-sell. So really, this ideation phase is all about identifying those opportunities. And then as we get into agentic AI, how do we automate that particular bottleneck or that pain point? Is there a way to make it more efficient now that you have these capabilities? And lastly, what's the outcome that we can drive from, that automation? And so being able to, think about the KPIs and the metrics, it really helps make the business case with the CFO or leadership that is looking at costs and concerned about security and such. So really keys to this whole ideation phase is having executive sponsorships really important, having cross line of business representation, to get that input from the business to understand which processes can be automated, having an iterative, very agile fashion to build out the capabilities. You're not going to build out an agent that's going to do it all in one shot. It takes, iterations, and we'll kind of walk you through that process. And lastly, like being able to validate the business value and outcomes that you can drive. So with that, we're going to jump into a demo, and I'm going to transfer the discussion to Sam Kerr.
Yeah.
Who's going to initially walk us through kind of what we're going to do here, and then Sam, I'll give you control to run the demo.
Thanks, Manbeer. Yeah, so I'll talk through this slide before I switch over to my screen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show Agentforce in action. And so we put together this demo in the context of a banking example and a lot of use cases that we're very familiar with and working with from a day-to-day. We wanted to highlight how Agentforce can make some online banking use cases really easy for an end customer that is usually exposed to an online banking portal experience. So we have a few personas here. We have our customer, James Bond, and James Bond uses Zen Bank is the name of our bank. And he has access to an online banking portal that he typically has to reach out to the banking support to perform some daily online banking activities. So today we have a customer support agent that is the AI agent, and it's going to be acting and assisting James Bond in almost everything that he needs assistance with, that I'll be demonstrating. And lastly, we do have a human element to this, a banking representative, and the banking rep is there for a path of escalation in circumstances where James Bond actually needs to talk to a real person or has a complex scenario that the agent maybe has some guardrails around. Additionally, the customer support rep also is able to monitor and review the performance of the agent that is encountering a lot of customer support requests. So I'm going to highlight all three of these personas. And let me get my screen share going. Go. The right window here. Okay, so what I'm showing is the landing page of our online banking community, and James Bond is logged into this online portal. And right now, this is just the landing home page of our Zen Bank experience. And traditionally, a user would navigate through to their account information and manually go through different areas to do things such as looking at their balances or maybe reporting an issue or performing some level of transactions. And today I'm going to do this in a much easier fashion because I have this online banking assistant through Agentforce that is able to help me. So at the bottom right of my screen is this little chat widget that would traditionally be a person, but today I have an online banking assistant powered by Agentforce. So I'm just going to start off with something here to ask it, show me my balances. And in this case, it's going to think about the request. And since I'm in an online banking experience, it's not necessarily going to just give me that information right away. We have some security measures built in to do a little more validation on myself before it starts helping me with financial related requests. So it's asking me to at least provide my name and email and either my birthday or last four of my social security. And so this case, I'm going to give it that information for that online user verification. And hopefully that succeeds. And so here, great. So now I can see my available funds and even some of my outstanding loan balances summarized by the agent. And something I'm a little more interested in is the latest transactions on my checking account. So I can drill in a little bit and start asking questions about my financial information. And so it's going to confirm that's looking for the right account. And with each of these requests, it's figuring out what the next possible best action is to proceed with and digging in and coming up with the best possible answer. Each of these it should be able to respond with and not have any issue having to escalate the request. So here it's really just giving me some recent transactions that I may be interested in, and something I'm more concerned about, and actually the reason why I came into this is because I am concerned about the $750 purchase that I don't think I actually made. So I'm going to report that. I'm going to say this gift purchase was not me, and I need to get my money back. And so this is going to kind of raise concern that I really need more of a support level request. So it's supporting my issue and summarizing that and asking if it can create a case for me to go off and have that investigated. So I'm just going to say, yes, please. And so hopefully they can help me with this because I'm reporting a fraudulent transaction. And so I have a case number back that is going to be investigated by the team and they'll get back out to me. So that's okay for me for now. And there's a couple other things I want to do. I'd actually like to transfer some of the funds that I have into my savings account. Let's protect my checking account if there's fraudulent transactions being taken on. And so it's double checking what available funds I have. And I'm actually just for now, I'm going to ask to transfer 25K from my checking account to my savings. Got a lot to work with here. And so it should confirm and it actually proceeded with that transaction and updated my balance to a new balance in my savings account. So that's really convenient that it's just able to help it move money around. And if it can do that, how about I also pay down my mortgage? And I'm asking it to pay down my mortgage to 500K, which if you notice in the beginning, my original balance was 524. Okay, so it's helping me with how much the payment could be to reduce it to a certain amount. So I'm going to say that's right, and it can proceed with that mortgage payment. And so you could proceed with these for different reasons, but since this is performing more of a monetary request, it will double check who I am. And this is something that could be configured in the agent on when you want to validate the user, maybe only under certain circumstances, maybe you only want the first time and then and maybe it's okay for subsequent times. In this case, it was double checking again, but it did complete that mortgage payment for me. So that was very, very helpful. So this is becoming a pretty helpful assistant. So I'm actually going to ask a little bit more about one of my accounts, and I'm going to ask about my credit card balance. So it may have already told me in the beginning what my balance was, but I want to ask some more questions about my credit card. So when it can answer that, I'm actually going to ask more along the lines of like my limits, how much is my available credit and my credit limit. So each of these things, it can drill in further about relevant account information, and instead of trying to seek that out or look it up, it should be able to summarize that for me. And maybe I want to ask how much cash I can take out on my credit card since I didn't have any cash before. But just a little bit. And the last action I might show is what branch is closest to me to withdraw some of the funds. So this is showing another possible capability where based off my location, it can go and look up what's nearest to me for branches to go walk in and actually interact with a branch to withdraw some funds. So this is just highlighting some possibilities with an online banking agent and just showing kind of how easy it can be from a conversational format for a end customer to complete activities, summarize information, or really just get assistance that wouldn't take manual intervention to go look up or summarize. So all of that was the agent experience. And as like the online banking user, if I really wanted to drill in and see if it completed those activities, I can go and drill in and see, oh, okay, it did create that case for me, and I can have that case number available, or each of the transactions that I made to my financial account, I can see it actually made those transfers and updated my balances. So really just showing whatever your end user experience is, it can go back and forth between summarizing information, updating information, and then the user can always drill in and see the details of what was accomplished. If I change personas now over to an internal employee that works at ZenBank, that customer support representative or anyone monitoring the support channel, I have a different perspective in which I can review all the interactions by individual customers. And many conversations like that I just demonstrated didn't need human intervention, but there may also be a need to review and audit what the agent was actually facilitating without human intervention, to review if it was in compliance, if it did what it was supposed to, or maybe it didn't do what it was supposed to, and you need to follow up with the customer to make things right if something went uneventful. In this case, everything was successful, but I want to show the kind of audit trail and tracking capabilities of that whole conversation being related to the customer data in the internal CRM, and also some level of tracking capabilities from more of a compliance and security standpoint. So we can capture things like the user's IP address and their device and the user ID that was logged in to the online banking experience. So everything can be traced back to the transactions that might have occurred by the end agent. We also can do things like having a peer review process assisted by other AI agents or prompting techniques. So when this agent conversation ended, we trigger a secondary automated agent prompt that reviews and summarizes the whole conversation and comes up with kind of a quality review metric to indicate how well the customer was satisfied, some level of sentiment analysis, and also any checks and balances you need to review that the agent is supposed to do in all of its conversations. So that's another way you could audit and monitor the agent's performance and come back and like trigger alerts or report on good or bad quality experiences. So that shows all the aspects of the demo, highlighting the end customer, the agent, everything the agent could potentially do and more, and then the aspect of human intervention and tracking and audit trail after the fact. And Andrea,
Awesome
if you don't
demo.
mind pulling up that next slide, I can summarize a little bit
Yep.
more about the Agentforce agent.
Yeah. So we have this up, and Sam, let's try to get through this like in the next minute or two.
Yep.
But fantastic job on the demo. So it should be sharing on your end.
I don't see it.
Okay. Um,
There we go.
okay.
Now it's coming through. Great. So what we just saw was an Agentforce for Service agent that we created a topic and a series of actions to complete what you just saw. So everything with Agentforce can be explained in terms of topics and actions and how it's configured and executes. So the topic that we showed was simply labeled online banking, and it had sets of instructions and classification text and a lot of things we could talk about in more of a detailed session, but it really tells the agent when it should run certain actions and what are the classifications for doing so and any guardrails that it should have. So each of these actions that you saw are all the mechanisms that the agent can actually execute, and that turns into tangible either flows or possible Apex code, or in our case, we also have some prompt templates that include additional AI summaries for performing each of these banking specific use cases. So these are all custom topics that we created on top of some of the out of the box Agentforce capabilities for case management and escalation to create cases or escalate. A lot of those capabilities actually come out of the box, and then you're just customizing and expanding for your specific use cases. Go ahead, Manveer. And this is another breakdown of kind of all the features and capabilities that we presented on top of Agentforce for Service. So this being more of a financial services, banking, or credit union example, this utilizes Financial Services Cloud and was using some of those core objects around financial accounts and transactions and cards. So we built up the Agentforce agents on top of that and make use of the Agentforce features, which core to this was the agent builder, the actual ability to build and expose the agent, as well as prompt builder, which is the large language model mechanism to build AI prompts. And we exposed it through an experience cloud, which this was our online banking experience here. In reality, it doesn't have to be Experience Cloud. It could be if you have a custom website, Agentforce could interact with that as well. But this was a full Salesforce solution to show all these capabilities.
Okay, awesome. Great job, Sam, on the demo. So we're just going to kind of walk you through this agentic capability. And so what you just saw from Sam was the retail banking agent. And these are some of the capabilities that have been enabled that we've already developed that you all could leverage. And it took us, roughly from the beginning to what you saw there, roughly 2 weeks. And the initial capability that you roll out with can be iterated upon. So this is that agile fashion of development, but we're also developing agents for commercial banking use cases and working with customers in this case. So for example, a customer having a question on a loan transaction or a payment, or the agent being able to collect, covenant documents like tax returns or financial statements. That's something that definitely is in the works that can be very valuable from a commercial agent perspective. From a wealth management perspective, we're working with our customers on, for example, tax and beneficiary information that one of our clients is working with their customers on. So being able to, again, do this self-service motion with an agent that's assisting on the web experience, and eventually having the agent, assist with the whole account opening experience as well as onboarding. Last but not least is an agent on the insurance side that could help with claims. And again, being able to work within the customer portal, whether that's Experience Cloud or a website that the client has developed to provide that, again, that assisted experience online, and ultimately be able to provide information to the customer so they don't have to call in, and it saves the institution the cost on that call. So there's a multitude of varieties and capabilities. These are just an example of some of the solutions that we're building out. And what's, I think, important to note is that this is very iterative in nature, going back to that ideation, or what are those business value drivers? What is it that can be automated? Really what you're trying to do is set up this center of excellence where you can have AI, agile AI products and an agile AI product development framework. And this can be a very iterative process where you can do things in like 2-week sprints and enhance the agent to take on more capability, be able to measure the performance of that agent. One of the things that Sam showed, for example, was the quality of the agent's performance as well as the customer sentiment. So that's a fantastic way to gauge how well is the agent performing. All the while you're building your infrastructure. So you're not doing this in a siloed fashion that can't scale. As you're building it out, you're utilizing technologies like Salesforce Data Cloud or your enterprise data platform that is, sourcing that data, unifying that data. And in the case of Data Cloud, what's incredible is that, if a lot of the information is already in Salesforce in your financial services cloud instance, for example, if you've integrated your banking core into Salesforce, and a lot of that data is available really out of the box, and it's just a matter of connecting Data Cloud and configuring it to be able to, grab the value of that data and expose it to customers. And from a technology perspective, Sam walked through the different components of Salesforce, but there's definitely scenarios where maybe that data is not in Salesforce. That data is in your banking core or in your wealth core, but you've exposed it to an enterprise data environment like Databricks or Snowflake, or Azure Fabric, for example. And so those data solutions are also very much in play here, because you've got the zero copy integration capabilities between those platforms and Data Cloud. So ultimately, you want to leverage Data Cloud as a way to orchestrate that data and harmonize that data for the Salesforce agent to be able to do these capabilities that we're talking about, whether it's self-service assistance on the web or being able to, gather loan documents. Ultimately, that data starts from a foundation, and our value proposition is that we can work with you on sort of this entire stack, but also being able to do this in a very accelerated fashion. Again, if a lot of the data is already in Salesforce, you can actually get these capabilities stood up quite rapidly. From a services perspective, and this is kind of the final slide, and we'll move into questions. We can work with you in a variety of ways, as we showed earlier, depending on where you are in your journey, early stage, or if you're focusing more on the enterprise data initially. We've got different offerings that we work with our customers on. Here in the ideation phase, for example, around advisory, we can help tee up those use cases, get a discovery workshop going, and then ultimately build out a proof of concept that maybe doesn't go live. It's more in your sandbox environment, and get that done within, 2 to 4 weeks. Also, in parallel to that, going back to the data side, it could be that, there has to be some data work done, and we're really introducing this concept of data products. So your entire enterprise data foundation, it's not like that has to be completely baked before you can activate the Salesforce agentic capabilities. The way we're really moving ahead with our customers is, let's build data products, and let's build those data products in a way where we can scale over time. You can build more data products, or you can add to the data products that you have, but there's no reason to wait until like this massive, initiative is done around enterprise data, when the data you need to activate that particular capability is in fact available, and it can be harnessed through Data Cloud. There's also strategic planning that we can do with you, that if you need to develop a strategy around AI and enterprise data, those are engagements that we're working on as well. And those, usually within 3 to 4 weeks, we can get through that work and develop a roadmap, a reference architecture, and a strategic plan to ultimately get you to where you've got this motion of building out agents and data projects, data products in this agile fashion, and you're really taking advantage of the capabilities, adding value to the business, as well as, if there's help that you need around change management or governance, how do you set up that center of excellence? Maybe it's a new motion within the organization, or you can build on your CRM COE. How do you incorporate AI and data products into existing COEs? And so we're working with clients in that regard. And finally, there's managed services as well. So it could be that you don't necessarily have the resources to manage the capabilities on an ongoing basis, or there's prompt engineering assistance or whatever it is you need. There's also, working with us in a managed services capacity. So there's a variety of ways that we can work with you in this like highly agile, flexible way to get you accelerated on your agentic AI journey. With that, we're good. Thank you everybody for attending. We love this stuff. So, we would love to do it again in a more captive fashion with you individually. And have a great rest of your week. And for those that are starting to kind of sign off for the holiday break, we hope you have a wonderful holiday, get some relaxation, and we'll be here for any needs you have around AI or data.